Look what I got. I got a jar of dirt. I got a jar of dirt. And guess what's inside it?
The weapons and technology of World War I.
World War I, also known as the First World War and the Great War, was a global war which took place primarily in Europe from 1914 to 1918. Over 40 million casualties resulted, including approximately 20 million military and civilian deaths. The observation balloons were used as a tool for gathering information and artillery spotting. These gigantic balloons were attached to a steel cable that was at least 3,000 feet long, and it could travel up to 25 meters per second. That's a whopping 1/100th of a mile every second. With them being filled with hydrogen, they were very flammable. This aspect led to the destruction of hundreds of balloons. The observers that manned them frequently had to use parachutes to escape the balloon while under attack. In April of 1915, the Germans deployed a lethal chlorine gas. To counter the lethal effects of the gas, the soldiers had to urinate on a rag and cover their mouths and noses with it. Improvements, obviously, were needed. And later that year, a gas mask was created by James Burt Garner. The mask would be worn over the face to protect the soldiers from inhaling toxic chemicals. It would primarily cover the nose and the mouth, but it also covered the eyes and other delicate tissues of the face. The production of gas masks greatly decreased the effectiveness of chemical attacks. The machine gun is a fully automatic weapon that can be portable or even mounted. It is designed to quickly fire in rapid succession from an ammunition belt or large capacity magazine. The typical rate for these guns is about several hundred rounds per minute. Machine guns were mounted in aircraft for the very first time in history. This powerful weapon would be manned by a crew anywhere between 3 to 6 soldiers, depending on the weight of the gun. The placement of these guns may be in bunkers in which there would be an opening for the gun to be positioned. Any soldier in front of a firing machine gun would quickly feel hundreds of bullets piercing his body. The grenade is a deadly handheld explosive device. They were used majorly by infantry in the trenches to take out machine gunners without making themselves visible. A regular hand grenade is composed of 4 basic parts: the pin, the handle, the fuse, and the grenade itself, which has explosive hidden inside. To activate the grenade, the pin must be pulled, then it must be thrown. In this process, the handle flies off, and that initiates the fuse to be lit. After that, there is the great explosion of the grenade. There is also the German version called the Malta 24, also known as the stick hand grenade. The design is obviously different, but it has the same concept as a regular hand grenade. About 75 million grenades were made during World War I. The anti-aircraft gun was used to destroy planes and many other objects that occupied the sky. There were various types of these guns, and they had many nicknames, such as Archie from the British and Flak from the Germans. These massive guns had enormous shells to be fired. Some were bigger than the average male. As aircraft started to become more elusive, they proved to be a hard target to be hit by such a large weapon as the anti-aircraft gun. To add to that, the rate at which these guns fired was very low. To increase the accuracy and rate at which these guns fired, the forces then added machine gun-based weapons that were mounted on poles. When the war came to a close, it is evident that these guns were the major cause of casualties. The aircraft in World War I were primarily used as a tool for observation of enemy positions, just like the observation balloon. If a pilot flew by an enemy pilot, at first there was nothing that could be done. But as the war went on, they began throwing things at each other, such as bricks and even rope, hoping it would tangle the other's propeller. After that, they began to carry handguns to fire at each other. With this, the air combat era began. Machine guns soon took place of the handguns, and now pilots would be able to shoot at the passing enemy rather than just having a smile and a wave. Heroes were born in the air, such as the famous Manfred von Richthofen, also known as the Red Baron, with over 80 victories in the air. The tank was originally designed to solve the stalemate of warfare in trenches. It provided protection across the dreadful no man's land. They were first developed by the British in 1915. Most of the tanks could only travel at a walking pace. Their armor was only vulnerable by direct hits from artillery and mortar shells, as well as armor-piercing bullets. Inside the tank, temperatures can rise up to 50 degrees Celsius. That's about 122 degrees Fahrenheit. Poisonous carbon monoxide was in abundance in the tanks as well, and when the men came out from the tanks for fresh air, they usually lost consciousness or became violently sick. These same tanks were fitted with machine guns or highly explosive firing guns. The tank is no doubtably one monstrosity of a weapon. World War I was a deadly war that was fought by many courageous men. The technology and weapons that came from it are still being advanced and improved to this day. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, goodbye. The anti-aircraft gun was... Stop texting. James Butt Garner. Whoa. That's a whopping 1/100th of a mile every second! Carbon monoxide was in abundance with... What's up?